of turbulent flows. Okay, so when you are looking at this particular uh, flow, we should know something about this flow. Okay, so like what is turbulent flows? Okay, what is turbulent flows? Okay. Now to understand these turbulent flows, let us consider one example. Say a flow is flowing through this pipe with velocity u, and this is exit. And there is another scenario, same scenario, where the flow is again flowing through the pipe. Okay. Now, one scenario is different than the other, where this Reynolds number, RE is a Reynolds number. RE is less than RE critical. Okay. So basically, RE is very small, means this is a laminar case, laminar flow case. And the another case where the RE is greater than RE critical, where the flow is turbulent. Okay. Now, if two situations are there and we put a one of the probe here, suppose we put a probe here, experimental device, in order to record some values here. So if you put a probe in the pipe at location X, in case of laminar flow, if you plot the output of the probe as a function of time and say the output is a u velocity, then this probe will give you the values like this. Okay. If this is a steady flow, if the flow is steady, then in that case, you don't see any fluctuations. You don't see any fluctuations in u with respect to time. There are very, very small fluctuations which are approximately zero, very, very small, which do not cause any change in the flow. So, okay, so there are fluctuations in laminar flow, but they are very, very minimal. They are very insignificant. So, in a case of steady flow, you get a no variation or no fluctuation in the U. Suppose you have a unsteady flow, then you might get some sort of periodic unsteadiness or something like that. So this can be in case of unsteady. Okay, so you can get this kind of plot. Suppose you are considering the second case where RE is greater than RE critical, and you plot U, then for a steady case you get something like this. You get something like this. Okay. So what do you see is that at this particular point, there are a lot of fluctuations in that u variable. So it changes from upper bound to some lower bound, some values. So it keep on changing. It keep on changing. It's random. It's unpredictable. If you measure the same point at same other instant, you are going to get different values. At one instant, you are going to get different value. Okay, say for example, at this t instant, you are going to get this value, for example. At any other t instant, you are going to get this value. So you have a unpredictability in case of this particular flow. Okay. So suppose this is a steady flow, and when suppose the unsteady flow is there, and you have suppose a periodic unsteadiness, then in that case you may get the fluctuations in your output like this. Okay. So average of this, this will be a average of this, and this particular variation above the average is called as turbulent fluctuations. Below also you will have turbulent fluctuations. So this is these fluctuations are nothing but turbulence. Here the mean flow will be unsteady, and over that you will be having a fluctuations. This is U versus T. Okay. So these two difference you will see in between laminar and turbulent flow. So in short, you can say that the turbulent flow is chaotic. Turbulent flow is random, chaotic, 3D, three-dimensional. Okay, three-dimensional features will be there, and it has varied length and time scales. Okay. So first two things like randomness you can see here. Chaotic behavior also you can see in these pictures. 3D pictures can be seen from these fluctuations. So you suppose this is a u velocity, then you will have fluctuations over velocity. Means you will have fluctuations of u component, y component, and z component of the velocity. So all this will be present, and you can see a 3D natures, and these fluctuations happen so frequently, the frequency of this fluctuation such a way that your delta t can be very small, it can be very small, it can be a very large at any other time. So you see there is a lot of difference between the scales. At some point you get a very small delta t or small time where some instances are happening, and some instances take larger time, large time to happen. So you can have a varied time scale, and some features will take different length scales. Okay. So what are these 3D features, and what are these length scales related features of the turbulent flows that we are going to see? Okay. So according to a Kolmogorov theory, there is a theory called as Kolmogorov theory. Kolmogorov theory of turbulence. A picture of turbulent flow is shown uh, by this theory, which comprises of the large eddies and small eddies. Okay, large eddies. So there you have there you will have large eddies. Eddies are nothing but vortices, rotating kind of structures. You will have a large vortices, then you will have a small vortices, then again there can be small vortices to very small vortices. So you see these vortices will have a equivalent some length. Okay, some characteristic length. So this length, they can have this length. So this length can vary from this larger length to maybe a very small length. Okay. So that is what the feature of the varied length scale is. So for example, you have a pipe flow, for example. So suppose you are considering a pipe flow, then in that pipe flow, you may see this kind of structures. Okay. So for example, you might have seen the matchbox or cigarette burning. So when cigarette burns, the fumes comes from the cigarette and they show these features. Okay. So they grow, then they break, and these are nothing but all these are eddies. These are called as eddies. Okay. Or vortices. Or vortices. Okay. So you can have the large eddy and you can have the smallest eddy. So what can be the size of the eddy? Maximum size of the eddy? It cannot go beyond the size of the domain. Okay. So suppose this is the length of the domain, then the largest possible size of the eddy is the length of the or height of the characteristic length of the channel itself. And the smallest length, small l, can be called as can be up to the scale which is called the Kolmogorov length scale. Kolmogorov length scale. Where you have a Reynolds number equals to 1. Okay. So accordingly, so you rho, v, rho u and length and mu, all these parameters will be such a way that you get RE number 1. Okay. So that value of length which gives RE1 will be the smallest length of the eddy. Okay. So you have the smallest length to the maximum length. Maximum length will be, smallest length will be Kolmogorov length. Smallest length will be, smallest length will be Kolmogorov length, and the largest length will be the characteristic dimension. Length of AD will be, AD will be the characteristic dimension. The characteristic dimension of the domain. Okay. So this is a general picture in any fully developed turbulent flow you can observe, where you can see the largest eddies followed by smallest eddies, then followed by smallest eddies, another smaller eddies till they get to the very small kind of eddies. Okay. Now these large eddies having a large length scale, so their RE, suppose you want to calculate RE for this particular case, rho, V, and now length and mu, then in that case, you see you have a large L. So these large eddies are more dominated by or dominated by inertia. Okay. And the smallest eddies having RE around 1, and that is a low RE case. So low RE case is dominated by viscous force, viscosity. Okay. Diffusion and inertia. Inertia governs here. Here viscosity has a negligible effect, Here the inertia has a negligible effect, but viscosity has a major role to play. Here viscosity has a negligible role to play and inertia has a major role to play in large eddies. Okay, and intermediate eddies will have a accordingly the sharing. But largest eddies have these characteristics and the smallest eddies is having this particular characteristics. Okay. So now in this case, once a turbulent structure is there, this structure keeps on there. Okay. So what is that mechanism which keeps these turbulent structures there? Where there is a formation of large eddy, then there is a formation of small eddies, and then small eddies and small eddies. How these smaller eddies coming from? Where they are coming from? These smaller eddies, this particular eddy is coming from this eddy, this particular eddy is coming from any other eddy, or they are actually these eddies are coming from the larger eddies which they essentially break. Okay, they essentially break. So I'll just try to explain that mechanism. So there will be a mean flow here. There will be a mean flow. Okay. Now in this mean flow, you will have a shear stresses, existing. So that shear stresses creates a shear work. Okay, shear work. Now this shear work, because of this shear work, suppose you have the eddies, uh, suppose you have this particular eddy and now it is getting sheared, so it will start elongating. Okay. Also it rotates. It will start elongating, and at some point of time it will break. It will break. So this is how the because of the shear work, this shear happens, the deformation of these larger eddies will takes place into smaller eddies. Okay, so because of this mean flow shear work, there will be a deformation and breakage of this larger eddies into smaller eddies. Okay, while doing uh, this, the energy which is expended from this mean flow will be given to the eddies. Okay, that is called as turbulent kinetic energy. That turbulent kinetic energy will be given, and when this eddies converted into smaller eddies, essentially that energy is transferred from larger eddies to smaller eddies. They are already energized. After breaking also they are energized. They again break into small, so they have turbulent kinetic energy, and then essentially finally they go into smaller eddies. Okay. Now once they become smallest eddies, now here the viscosity is dominant. Here the viscosity is dominant. So we that eddies, for example, it is near the wall, for example, in that case it has to do some work. Okay. So it has to do some work against the shear forces here. So during that case, to work against these viscous forces, so during this process, the work is expended. So that energy contained in this in this eddies, it is converted into something called as internal energy. Internal energy. Okay. So that so systems internal energy, it is given to the system's internal energy. Okay. So this is how the mechanism is. Mean flow gives the energy to the eddies. Eddies gives energy to smallest eddies. They transfer energy towards the smallest eddy. The smallest energy dissipates that energy into internal energy, and similarly the mean flow energy will get charged, then again mean flow will give energy to the largest eddy will transfer that information from large to small like that. Okay, so they will keep on feeding this till it reaches to the smallest eddy, where the smallest eddy will discard that energy from small scale to the internal energy. Okay. Now it is observed that these large eddies, okay, this is the mechanism how the energy is transferred. This is called as energy cascade. Okay. According to Kolmogorov theory, this is called as energy cascade. Energy cascade between CAD cascade between larger scale to smaller scale. Okay, from the largest scale, largest eddies to the smallest eddy. That energy transformation mechanism and transformation process is called as energy cascade. Okay. So it is observed that these largest eddies are anisotropic. Okay, anisotropic means in the x direction, in the y direction, you will not have same properties. Okay, and the smallest eddies were found to be isotropic. So in all the direction, you will have the same properties. Okay, so that is a characteristics. Large eddies are more dominated by inertia; they are anisotropic. Smallest eddies are dominated by viscous forces, and they are isotropic in nature. They are, you know, universal kind of. Okay. Now, what are the energy contained in this particular problem? For example, that energy which is there, if your CFD solver can capture this energy or can capture the instances happening over a time, instances happening over a space. Okay, your CFD should be sufficient to check out the things happening over the period of time, over the spaces. So if you have those resolutions possible, then you can capture the turbulent flow. Okay. And when you are capturing the turbulent flow means all the features which are present in the turbulent flow according to Kolmogorov theory, those should be captured. Turbulent flow. Okay. So if you have a system like this, then that particular CFD is always favorable. Okay. So suppose energy, this turbulent kinetic energy E is present. So there can be one scenario which is called as direct in CFD, which is called as direct numerical simulation. Numerical simulation. Direct numerical simulations. So these are called as DNS. You must have heard these names. So what does this direct numerical simulation does? Direct numerical simulation solves these Navier-Stokes equations which we already seen in previous cases. So there is nothing this thing. The only thing is they make ensure that the you are using this much the grid size and the time step size such a way that you can resolve the smallest eddy and the instances smallest time taken to any change. If you incorporate these things, then you are supposed to be done with the uh, with the with the with the method. Okay, but if you try to do this, so if you do this, then you are going to capture everything. You are going to capture everything, uh, energy content in that along as a function of frequency. So frequency means from larger scales to smallest scales. Okay, large eddy to small eddies. This is the energy content in the large eddy. This is the energy content. Energy is low in small eddy, and then it gets dissipated. Energy direct numerical solution, DNS method, you need to have delta t very, very small, delta x very, very small. Okay. So suppose you have a problem RE of 1000 or 10,000. Okay. For this RE 10,000 cases, you might need such a delta t, such a small delta t and delta x that you might take over the period of 10 years to get the solutions. Okay. So that is not feasible for engineers, for example, to wait for 10 years to get the solution, and then and that too only for a small problem. So suppose you have a small channel of length, so say L, then it is okay. It is giving you 10 years. Suppose you have a very complicated geometry, and in that complicated geometry, if you want to solve for uh, you know suppose this is inlet and something somewhere here is outlet, then such a complicated problem, then it will be very, very difficult to get the solution for direct numeric simulation method. So what we can do? So to make the simulation time small and also to get reasonably accurate solution, there is another method used in CFD which is called as large eddy simulations. Okay, which is called as large eddy simulation. So in large eddy simulation, that is called as large eddy simulation. So by the name itself, large eddies are simulated, okay, and smallest eddies are modeled. This is called as LES. So in this case, where are the small eddies? Small eddies are in this region. This region is a energy content in the small eddies. So these small eddy parts, which are isotropic and universal in nature, so they can be modeled. So these are modeled. Small scales are modeled. Small eddies, small eddies are small eddies are modeled. But this particular size of the eddies from this to this, from this to this, that is solved. Okay. So, but still you might need sufficient delta t, sufficient delta x. This might not be so tight compared to DNS, but this demand for delta t and delta x even in LES might lead you to take more time to get the solutions, more time to get the solutions even in LES. Now what best we can do, and as an engineers, what happens is that in industry we are not interested in the fluctuating quantities. uh, we are basically interested in the mean quantities, and such as we are interested in drag force. What is the actual drag force coming on, the force coming on, resultant force coming on, drag force, lift force coming on system. So in that case we are more interested in mean quantities, not actual quantities. Okay, we need a delta t and delta x resolution so small to get u prime fluctuations. But suppose I do not want to get u prime, then I can relax my delta t and delta x and I can get the solution in a reasonable time. Okay, that is the concept uh, is followed, which is called as Reynolds average Navier-Stokes equation. Okay, so rather than solving Navier-Stokes equations, we solve for a Reynolds Navier-Stokes equation, in which if you have energy and F and energy is like this, then what do we do in RANS model? We model everything. We model everything. we model everything. We do not solve for u prime, or we do not want to get the actual fluctuations. We model everything from largest steady to smallest steady. We model everything, and that is a feature of RANS model. So that is called as Reynolds average. Reynolds average Navier-Stokes equation. Navier-Stokes, okay, model or RANS model. So this is called a RANS, RANS, RANS model. You must have heard about, some of the students must have about this. So RANS model essentially models this. How does it models? How does it models? So what it says is that suppose you have these fluctuations in the flow, then you can essentially say that this flow consists of a mean flow. Okay, you can have a mean flow, and over which you have a fluctuations. So u prime, you have fluctuations u prime, you have turbulence. Okay, so any u can be represented as u bar plus fluctuations. Okay, u can be represented as u prime, u bar plus u prime. V velocity, v component velocity can be represented as v bar plus v prime. And suppose you have w component, then w mean plus w fluctuation. Okay, so this average is over the period of time. This is a time average. So this is a time average. So u is a function of space and time, which is decomposed into two. One is time average, time average value and its fluctuation. Similarly, suppose you have a pressure, then pressure can be also mean pressure and its fluctuation. If it is the temperature, then mean temperature and its fluctuation, and any other variable. Suppose you have any other variable. Similarly, in generalization, you can say that it can be decomposed as phi can be decomposed as phi bar and phi prime. This particular decomposition is called as Reynolds decomposition. This is called as Reynolds decomposition. Reynolds decomposition. Okay, so if you use this Reynolds decomposition and find out equation for the mean quantities, if you find out the equation for mean quantities, then we can get the solution for mean quantities and find out the parameters of interest, which are the mean flow parameters like drag, lift force and things like that, which are of engineering interest. So we can do those things and we can go ahead with that. Okay, so we'll see after you use this Reynolds decomposition, um, how do you get the answer. So you have these equations, you have these Navier-Stokes equations. These Navier-Stokes equations were gone. Where they go? I have written somewhere. Here. This. Okay, I can write one more time. This equation. So if you use the Reynolds decomposition and follow the, if you use, these are the Navier-Stokes equations, And if you use Reynolds decomposition over this equation with definitions with u prime and its average is 0. Okay, this you can see. If you have a flow and you have a mean, and over the mean you have fluctuations, then these fluctuations will this fluctuation will cancel the other fluctuation. So there is a cancellation process. So ultimately the u prime and its average, u prime its average, it will be 0. Okay. So that definition is there. And then suppose you have u and its average, u velocity and its average, then you can say that it is a product of u average and u average separately. Uh, plus u prime and u prime and its average. And suppose you have u bar and its prime, then it also 0. So v prime, v bar prime, that is also 0. When I am writing u, you assume that it is a u v w or any other variable also, t p. Okay. So I'm just giving some definitions. You can see in the textbook. Suppose you have u prime u bar and its average, time average, then that is also 0. Suppose you have a mean quantity and its average, then it is essentially average. So if you follow these rules and substitute in this, say for example, now your 2D continuity equation is del u del x plus del v del y, okay, is equals to 0. Now you substitute the decomposition, Reynolds decomposition. What is Reynolds decomposition? Reynolds decomposition is u bar plus u prime divided by del x plus del v is v bar plus v prime divided by del y is equals to 0. Now you take it out, u bar del x plus del v bar del y, and you have the other terms like del u prime del x plus del v prime del y. Now you take the average of this. Okay. So once you take the average, this particular term is going to be u bar of bar will be u bar itself. So del u bar del x plus v bar over bar, that is nothing but v bar itself del y. But these quantities will become 0. These quantities will become 0 by definition. And you get finally this equation. This is a mean continuity equation. Continuity equation in mean variable. Okay. Okay. So this is a continuity equation. This is a continuity equation for RANS case. Similarly, you can obtain the x momentum, y momentum, and z momentum equation, and you know, you can get. So what are those x momentum equation? After you do all this process, you get this one continuity equation, then you get x momentum equation. I'm just going to write that x momentum equation, how it looks like. So x momentum equation will look like del t plus del x u bar okay, plus del y v bar u bar is equals to minus 1 by rho del p bar, all bar quantities, x plus del x new del u bar del x, okay, plus del x plus del y, sorry, new del u bar del y plus del x new del u bar del x plus del y del y new del v bar del x. Okay, these are the terms you will get, and some more interesting terms will come. Those terms are this. These are del u prime del x for 2D case. For 2D case, del then u prime v prime, okay, and all these are bar quantities, prime bar del y. So this second equation you will get. Similarly, you will get a third equation. So let me write that third equation also. Del v bar del t plus del x u bar v bar, right, plus del y. These are somewhat similar to our Navier-Stokes equations, but there are additional terms that you should remember. Here there are some additional, and that is the whole game of this RANS model. Okay, y plus del x new del v bar del x plus del y new del v bar del y plus del x v del u bar del y plus del y new del v bar del y. Okay, and additional terms of interest. These are crucial things. These are very crucial things. So here you have del u prime v prime bar del x plus del v prime bar del y. Okay, this is third. These terms are called as Reynolds stresses. This is called as Reynolds stresses. These terms are called as Reynolds stresses. These particular terms. These particular terms are called as Reynolds stresses. Reynolds stresses. Okay, these terms are called as Reynolds stresses. Yeah. Anything? Reynolds stresses. Yeah, what's going on? Teja? Okay, so these are the Reynolds stresses. Okay. Similarly, if you have a temperature equation, then you also get a temperature equation like that. Del T bar del T plus del X U bar T bar plus del Y V bar T bar is equals to, you have del X and K rho Cp del T bar del X, okay, plus del y K rho Cp del T bar del y. Bhanu Teja, switch off your mic. Bhanu Teja. Bhanu Teja, switch off your mic. Bhanu Teja. Sanshala Bhanu Teja. Sanshala Bhanu Teja. Bhanu Teja, switch off your mic.
మొన్నది ఆల్తుండే మంచిగా వచ్చేది.
सुनाई नहीं दे रहा क्या? So we'll have one more other additional term here, similar to the previous case. You will have the mixed term. Okay, U prime T prime average plus del y V prime T prime average. So this is a 4 equation. Okay, so you get these terms, and now you see you have how many equations you have? You have 4 equations. You have 4 number of equations. You have 4 number of equation 1, 2, 3, 4, and how many variables are there? You have a U prime, you have V prime, you have P prime, you have T prime, you have U bar, you have V bar, you have P bar, you have T bar. How many variables are there? 8 variables, right? And how many equations are there? Only 4 equations. So this is not a closed kind of problem. So we need to find some closure for these prime quantities. We would like to express these prime quantities in terms of as a function of U bar, V bar, P bar, and T bar. Some function, some known, such a way that we get a closure. This is called as closure problem. In turbulence flow, in turbulence, this is called as closure problem. Okay. So now the problem remains to find out a closure for this. U prime bar, U prime V prime bar, U prime V prime bar, V prime V prime bar. What is the relationship for these two things? For these things, okay, that is now become the subject of the modeling, turbulence modeling. Now to get this closure, there is an approximation called as, there is an approximation in turbulent flows which is called as Boussinesq approximation, okay, which is called as Boussinesq approximation. Okay, this Boussinesq approximation you must have heard in case of natural convection, remember, but this Boussinesq approximation is in turbulent flow is different. What it says is that these stresses U prime, U prime, U prime, V prime, V prime, V prime, this can be expressed as a in a similar manner the way we express stresses as a function of mean gradients. Okay, so now we can express this in terms of mean gradients. So say for example, you have this term rho U prime, U prime. This can be expressed as twice viscosity, and that viscosity is called as turbulent viscosity. turbulence viscosity, because we are now making assumption for turbulent flow, and del u bar del x minus 2 by 3 rho k. K is a turbulent kinetic energy, turbulent Ke kinetic energy. Similarly, rho V prime bar can be expressed as twice turbulent viscosity. Okay, this is a coefficient of proportionality, and you can have V bar. You have V bar del y minus 2 by 3 rho k. Okay. Similarly, for a mixed kind of u prime v prime cases, you can have the mu t, okay, relationship del v bar del x plus del u bar del y. Okay. This is called as Boussinesq approximation. And if you substitute this Boussinesq approximation, then you have converted prime quantities in terms of mean quantities. U bar, V bar, U bar, V bar, P bar, T bar, like that. Okay. So for T bar, to express in terms of T bar, so rho u prime t prime bar can be some coefficient, proportionality coefficient gamma turbulent. We have to specify del t bar del x. Similarly, you can write for rho v prime t prime bar as some coefficient gamma turbulent del t bar del y. Okay, these are called as Boussinesq. This is called as Boussinesq approximation. And once you substitute into this, you express in terms of mean quantities. Okay. Now, once when you are dealing with these two quantities, okay, we need to bring in. There is a most of the softwares use something called as Prandtl number, turbulent Prandtl number, which is defined as the mu t turbulent viscosity divided by this diffusion coefficient, which is a turbulent diffusion coefficient, and this is generally expressed as, in most of the CFD applications, this is expressed as equals to 1. Okay. So whatever the value of mu t is there, the same value of gamma t is used. So this is replaced by the mu t. Okay. So the thing is, you have to find out turbulent viscosity, which is nothing but given as C mu rho k turbulent kinetic energy square divided by epsilon, where turbulent kinetic energy. Turbulent kinetic energy is, suppose you have a kinetic energy, then you can have a mean kinetic energy and you can have a fluctuating part of the kinetic energy. So this fluctuating part is this turbulent kinetic energy. Okay. So this turbulent kinetic energy is defined as K is equals to half of, in 2D I am just writing U prime square plus V prime square, and in 3D you can add plus W prime here, and epsilon is a dissipation of this Ke. So dissipation means degradation or transformation. I'm losing out. I mean dissipation of Ke, turbulent Ke, TKE, turbulent kinetic epsilon. This is defined as equals to nu. I'm just writing del U prime in prime quantities. These are not expressed in terms of mean quantities. Okay, these are fluctuating quantities. So that you have to remember. Del V prime, del Y prime, del Y, del V prime, del Y, and all these are average quantities plus. Let me just write. I'll finish. I'm done. Del V prime, and this is del X, and this is del Y. These are all bars, and one more quantity will come which is also of mixed type. So del V prime, del X, and del U prime, del Y average. So this is the way K and epsilons are defined. And once you know K and epsilon, then we can get the mu T. But K and epsilon are expressed in terms of prime quantities. So we have to find out the K equation and epsilon equation such a way that we can get the mu T. Okay. So in the next class, I will show how to get K and epsilon equation. And what are the final equations that are used to solve the RANS model. In the RANS model, RANS model, RANS model with K epsilon, K epsilon. You must have heard about this K epsilon. There are other model like K omega, SST, shear stress transport, okay, Reynolds stress transport. Many other models are there, but we are only, because of this time limitation, I am focusing only on K epsilon model, okay, where K comes, epsilon comes in mu T calculations. Once mu T is calculated, we can calculate U bar, V bar, okay. That's what the game is. And once I show you the equations are solved in RANS model, I will show you how to how the discretization of this equation is done, and how the boundary what are the different types of boundary conditions are implemented, and what is the procedure to solve these equations in the next class. Thank you.